Tonight, Jeff Chandler stars in the inspiring dramatization, A Story of David.
Use it to fight the Lord's battle, David, remembering always that you are his chosen one. Use it only for good. Seek his will in all things.
See A Story of David on Channel 7's Saturday night movie at 11:30. Here on Channel 7, KABC TV, Los Angeles.
The near lane, Don Prudhomme. The far lane, Jim Nicol. They are both staged. Nicol's off first.
Side.
Prudhomme. Oh, my God. Jim Nicol's car. Jim Nicol's car has literally been sawed in half. The front end of it has skidded all the way down to the run-out area.
Let's go down there.
Prudhomme braking heavily, his parachute behind him. But Nicol's car, cut in half, there is the driver's cage. It caromed at least 350 feet down the track and bounced over into the grass.
Not knowing that Nichols was only slightly injured, Prudhomme, a tough racing man, was emotionally drained by the experience.
You're all right now. I think I'm good. Oh my God, I seen that car go by me. I couldn't believe it. There was no back section on it or nothing.
Tonight, the movie of the weekend presents one of the more spectacular movies, Tribes, starring Darren McGavin and Earl Holliman. That's tonight at 8:30 on ABC.
A very wet but a very Merry Christmas to you. Winter's second storm continues to pose a threat to Southland residents. The Miami Dolphins win the longest playoff game in the history of football. Holiday fire and traffic deaths continue to mount across the nation. We'll have film reports on these and other stories next on Channel 7's Eyewitness News.
This is my new Toyota Corolla. I got it when this excise tax thing got lifted. Actually, I never even knew they taxed the excise until it got lifted. You see, what happened when that happened is that the price went down, which meant I could afford a new Toyota. Do you know what I mean?
See your nearby Toyota dealer and get your hands on a Toyota. You'll never let go.
Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. stars in the FBI.
A legendary criminal breaks jail for his biggest job ever tomorrow night at 8 on Channel 7, KABC TV, Los Angeles.
Careers, though, sometimes end not by choice, but by chance. Was there ever a man more alive, more in love with the triumph of talent, determination, and personal discipline than Vince Lombardi? He was professional football's greatest coach at the peak of his powers as he took over the Washington Redskins.
I want to say that I'm very, very happy that I am back. I knew I missed football, but I don't think I realized how much I missed it until I got back into it this year.
What was it you told me when you took the job? I was tired of being a myth?
That's right. I wanted to dispel that, Howard, if I could. I don't feel I'm a myth. I don't feel I'm any, that I'm any different than anybody else, really. So maybe I will dispel it.
Now, a lot of the press have been here already, of course, because of your past renown. And they're beginning to talk all over again and write all over again about the martinet and the dictator and the man who, in truth, can be a heel, cruel, brutal, and so on. You chuckled as I said it, but you know that this kind of criticism exists.
I know it does, Howard, and I thought that was one of the reasons I think that caused my my retirement for a year really was that kind of talk. Really, I think that had a great deal to do with it. But it's back again, and I just don't understand why. But it's not going. I'm not going to let it bother me this time, really, because there's very little truth in it. I would say, if any truth in it, I think if you speak to anybody, any of the players, I think they'll say that they'll dispel that, I think, almost immediately.
But why do you hate Lombardi?
I don't hate Lombardi. I love it.
Sam Huff loved the flat-out honesty of Lombardi, his directness, whether laughing or chewing out a lazy player. In a day of chilly cynicism, one had to admire a man who said what he thought, lived what he believed, and died his untimely death in courageous dignity. Now, Len Dawson is the picture of the modern businessman-athlete, the idol of Kansas City. But after his team won the 1970 Super Bowl game, he discussed the unsubstantiated charges of associating with gamblers that had been made about him. His staunchest defense came from his swinging football rival, Broadway Joe Namath.
Joe, have you been subpoenaed to appear before a grand jury?
No, I haven't, and
have you,
I don't really anticipate
No, I haven't.
No
But
word
still,
of any kind.
Right, but still, guilt by imputation is there. You know, just because our name is there, already there's going to be some people in this country that say, well, Namath, Dawson, whoever it is, they've been gambling. Just because someone has the audacity to put our names on the news for that, and we haven't even done a thing. Nothing's even been mentioned to us. Don't know why, but yet they put our names there.
It'll live with you for a while.
It'll live with us. It'll live with our families. It'll live with his family more. I mean, I'm by myself. You know, I have my parents. You know, they understand things. But he has people that has to worry about.
On another occasion, ABC's Howard Cosell asked his probing questions of baseball player Curt Flood. Flood was challenging the sports reserve clause, a legal move that still continues and may reach the United States Supreme Court. He had been telling Howard that no matter how you figured it, a baseball player of whatever color was a slave to the club owners.
It's been said and it's been written, Kurt, that you're a man who makes $90,000 a year, which isn't exactly slave wages. What's your retort to that?
Well, Howard, a well-paid slave is nonetheless a slave.
Well, if athletes are in fact well-paid slaves, the best paid of them all is reputed to be a Brazilian soccer player who is known by the single name Pele. He's number 10 here, helping his country win the World Cup. Just recently in Paris, he was given a parade down the Champs-Élysées, an honor usually reserved for presidents and astronauts. Vive la France, he shouted. And the people of Paris shouted back, Viva Pele!
Excitement and action return to millions of bowling fans across the nation again this winter as the Professional Bowlers Tour begins its 11th consecutive season on ABC television. Starting Saturday, January 8th, the best bowlers in the world will be competing for over $800,000 in prize money during 13 different tournaments. And ABC Sports will be covering these pro bowlers live and in color each Saturday afternoon as they move across the nation, beginning with the United States Open at Madison Square Garden in New York and concluding with the Tournament of Champions at Akron, Ohio. That's the Professional Bowlers Tour, live and in color, returning for the 11th consecutive season on Saturday, January 8th, 2:30 Eastern and 1:30 Central Time on the ABC television network.
There have been many off-camera moments that we've wished we could share with you on Wide World. For example, last June, I sat in a beautiful restaurant at a village called Louet, near Le Mans, France, with Phil Hill, 3-time winner of the grueling 24-hour race of Le Mans, and another man. We were sharing a bottle of Chateau Haut-Briand 1937, which, believe me, by all odds, was the most delicious wine I've ever tasted. In fact, that alone would have made the evening. But just as we were finishing the wine, a door opened and in walked a group of very elegant Europeans, and one step behind the rest of the group, men and women, was the suavest of them all, the boulevardier from Belgium, Olivier Gendebien, the man who had shared the wheel with Phil Hill on all 3 of those victories on the circuit at Le Mans. They hadn't seen each other for a couple of years, and suddenly Gendebien saw Phil, and he said, "Phil, you old son of a gun." And these 2 great veterans of the race course embraced. It was quite a moment. And I was particularly glad that the 3rd man in our group that night was a romanticist like myself, Doug Wilson by name, a producer on Wide World of Sports, and as you're now going to find out, also a composer and a singer.
Not long ago, in a small village in the French Alps, a man said that we at ABC Sports continually seem to be beginning something. With that thought in mind, on the occasion now of the 10th anniversary of ABC's Wide World of Sports, this song is presented. I didn't write it for the show, really. It was written as a gift, dedicated to two men, the perceptive pioneer and innovator of television sport, Roone Arledge, and to the irascible poet, reporter of sport, Jim McKay. The song is called The Wide World. 10 years ago I boarded a plane to search in the world of sport, to see how men live side by side in conflict of every sort. I traveled to the playing fields of England's sporting clime and watched men in an Irish hurling battle. And over the wide, wide world, over the wide, wide world, I think I've seen a plan. Men can shake hands and understand. I've passed through time zones endlessly to see men east and west do their thing incessantly, trying to be the best. I've seen the slashing, competitive clashing in sport of every kind. And when it's done, men touch and walk together over the wide, wide world, over the wide, wide world. I think I've seen a plan. Men can shake hands and understand. I've watched them challenge mountainsides to get there before another. At times in teams go head to head, victoriously crushing the other. I've watched them try to reach beyond the boundaries of speed and overcome their inborn limitations. But over the wide, wide world, over the wide, wide world, I think I've seen a plan. Men can shake hands and understand. The world of sport is made of men who act in human fashion, racing after what they want, committed to their passion. I wonder if in other worlds this pattern will prevail, and when it's done, will all men walk together over the wide, wide world, over the wide, wide world. I think I've seen a plan. Men can shake hands and understand.
Federal agents try to foil a payroll heist tomorrow night on the FBI.
Meet the Stampers of Oregon. Paul Newman, Henry Fonda, Lee Remick, Michael Saracen, Richard Jekyll.
Now playing Pacific Cinerama Dome in Hollywood.
Want a raise? More to spend on a vacation, maybe. Now that the excise tax is gone, this is the perfect time to buy a Datsun, a true economy car. Save when you buy it, even more when you drive it. This Datsun 1200 sedan sells for under $2,000 with lots of extras at no extra cost. White walls, vinyl upholstery, front disc brakes, and more. See your Datsun dealer and ask him for a raise. Driving a Datsun is a sure way to raise your standard of living.